How are you doing this morning, Chad?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking time out of your in-season schedule. I know you're probably hectic and busy. So when you guys headed out to St. Louis?
Yeah, so we'll leave. We'll do a short training session tomorrow after classes, and then head down. So we don't like to miss many classes at Notre Dame, so we'll get in a little late, but we'll get them a good night's sleep before the game.
Yeah, absolutely. You decided to have your first official game of the season?
We are, yeah, I think so. I think it's been nice to have the 3 exhibition games, but at the end of the day, at this point, you're sort of tired of training a little bit, and you want to start competing for real.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did St. Louis get on the schedule? I know a lot of you obviously have your conference schedule, and a lot of the non-conference games are typically Midwest programs. How did St. Louis get on the schedule?
Yeah, so that was kind of done before I got here. So they came in. There was an agreement where they came up to play us to open the season last year, and so then part of the agreement was to return to play them. And I think we're excited about it. I think we've got a lot of good history with Notre Dame players down in St. Louis, and St. Louis obviously has a lot of history as a program. So it's a game we were excited about. And, we have quite a few alums that'll be out at the game, so we're excited to be able to play in front of them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great to play at different venues you don't always play at. So how does the non-conference scheduling work for you guys? It looks like a lot of the teams you play are kind of closer to South Bend, teams like Michigan and local kind of closer teams. So how does some of the non-conference scheduling work for you?
Yeah. I think we like to play a handful of Big Ten games to complement our already quite strong schedule, and then we try to play closer, just maybe even a little bit closer than St. Louis, just to limit our travel, because I think one of our challenges in the fall is balancing the competitive athletic schedule with the academic schedule, and so we try to limit travel as much as we can out of conference, and then knowing that being in the ACC we have a handful of flights, and so that's kind of the philosophy, is building the best schedule we can while playing in front of some of our fans in Chicago and St. Louis and places like that, while building a competitive and balanced schedule from a travel perspective as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. To kind of talking about facing Big Ten opponents, obviously probably one of your guys' biggest rivals, the Indiana Hoosiers. Can you talk about getting to play them every year and kind of how big of that rivalry's gotten?
Yeah, I think it's a great rivalry, and I think it's, one that it's at a really good spot right now. I think, we have a lot of respect for their team, for their coaches. We're actually quite close with their coaches, so they're someone that we really respect the way they're doing. Obviously, they've got a lot of history, and I think it's been a really good battle over the last kind of 20 years, and we love playing that game. I think it's a game that probably both teams really look forward to, and being an in-state kind of rivalry game, I think adds a little bit of spice to it. But I think it's a game that we love to compete in. We have a tremendous amount of respect for them, and I think it's in a really good place right now.
Yeah, definitely. Did you ever think about possibly playing like a neutral site game with the Hoosiers, maybe like in Indianapolis or something along those lines? You ever think has that ever crossed your guys' mind?
Yeah, it has. I think it kind of depends on the year, but it's certainly something Todd and I have talked about, and something we try to do in the spring. We try to get down. We actually played down at in the indoor field in Westfield this past year, and had a great turnout at that indoor field. But it is certainly something that we've talked about for the fall. So it's on our minds.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have the Crossroads Classic here for basketball. Notre Dame, Butler, IU, and Purdue all play each other. Then recently Notre Dame's played IU in baseball here in downtown Indianapolis, where I'm calling from. I think it would be great to have you guys play sometime here in the future. Maybe act like a Lucas Oil.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be a really cool event. I know it's kind of crazy because a lot of the Notre Dame fans are traditionally like football fans, and IU fans are traditionally basketball fans. When it comes to sports, like more like baseball and baseball and soccer and stuff, it's interesting. It's about a 50-50 split when those games are played here in Indianapolis, so it's really cool to see. But that would definitely be something.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be something that'd be really interesting seeing here in the future.
Yeah.
Speaking of neutral site games, how cool was to have Liverpool here just a few weeks ago at Notre Dame Stadium?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal, to be honest. I think we all sort of were pinching ourselves whenever they were with us for about 5-6 6 days. And so, at the end, a lot of our staff worked closely with their staff to make their stay good. And Notre Dame overall ended up, was a wonderful host. But I'll be honest, it's pretty weird. I live pretty close to campus, and so when I'm driving into work and I see the Liverpool players just grabbing a coffee outside, out in front of a Starbucks that's on my way to work, it was pretty funny to see some of the world's greatest soccer players just sitting in South Bend having a coffee before training. So it was pretty special. It was inspirational. It was it was just overall an incredible experience. And the fact that we got 41,000 fans on a Friday night game when it was 90 degrees out, it felt like it was a really tremendous experience.
Yeah, that's awesome, especially in the middle of the summer that many fans are come out there and witness soccer at Notre Dame Stadium. That's really awesome. Have you guys ever been in talks of actually playing like a soccer game at Notre Dame Stadium, or is that always conflict with the football team, or you guys ever thought about getting inside there?
Yeah, we have. We have. The one challenge is it is a little bit narrow. But it is something that we've talked about. It's to do it the way Liverpool did it. We might not do it because it's quite a bit of money to roll the grass out there for it. But I think it's something that we certainly thought about, and I think it could be a neat experience. And it's just trying to kind of find the right game to do it. And then just balancing the expenses. It's a pretty expensive operation to open up the stadium, but I think it could be a really neat opportunity for us.
Yeah, down the road it'd be something cool to have there. Kind of moving on here, kind of looking towards the actual season itself. Looks like you guys are in the top 10 once again. So what does it say about the consistency of the program? Every time I kind of pay attention, look at Notre Dame soccer, you guys are ranked in the top 25, the top 10. What's it say about the program itself?
Yeah, I think my old coach and my predecessor really built a strong program, and I think that's where we kind of expect to be. I think we always take the early season rankings as that's what last year's team earned, and so we have to earn our own this year. But I think I think there's a lot of respect nationally for the program. I think there's a lot of respect for the league as well, and so. I think that's kind of where we hope and expect to be every year, and I think the goal is to finish at the top ranked one. So I think it's a good spot. I think a lot of earlies from last year, and now it's about kind of earning that with this year's team.
Yeah, like you were touching on, head coach Bobby Clark was there for a long time. What are some things that you took away from him, and some things that you learned as a coach from him? Yeah,
sure. I mean, I think. The foundation of what I do generally is all from him. And then I think, over my last few years, handful of years, I've been a head coach at Dartmouth and then here, I think you're always tweaking things. And I think that's what we did when we coached together, and it's what he did as well. And I think the biggest thing you take from Coach Clark's coaching is just, how good can you be without the ball, right? You always have to be a team that's tough to beat. And then you always have to be a team that competes for one another, right? I think, we're going to have some special individual players, but at the end of the day, they're always going to be more worried about the team's goals than their own. And I think that was a hallmark of all of Coach Clark's teams while he was at Notre Dame and beyond.
So kind of touch on it more in depth. What would you say are just a few key factors that you guys will have to do this fall in order to be really successful?
Yeah, I think, we have a mature team kind of years-wise, but we don't have a huge, an experienced group of guys that have played more than kind of 40 games. And so I think one of the things we'll have to do is just grow quickly early in the season, kind of getting into that and getting comfortable to prove that they're able to compete at this level. I think the biggest thing is early in the season you just have to establish yourself as a team that's very difficult to score on, because the games are tight in soccer, and so you've got to be a team that doesn't give up any easy goals, And then I think we've got to figure out, on the other side of that, ways to get goals from multiple guys. I think you always hope that you have a leading scorer that gets up to 15, 20 goals, but I think I'm more concerned with getting a team that has a lot of guys contributing, those 5 or 6 goals a season. So I think those are the two big things. And then I think it's just having the strength kind of mentality to deal with whatever ups and downs happen in the first couple of weeks, and just can you continue to improve with the hope of picking up as many wins as you can.
Yeah, as well as discussing the season, you think it's fair for me to call the ACC a gauntlet of a schedule? Because obviously that's some of the best programs in the country you'll be competing once that the conference schedule rolls around.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think there's no other conference like it in soccer. I mean, I forget what it was. It was maybe nine teams were top 16 seeds in the NCAA tournament, so that's 9 out of 12, which is pretty incredible. Or maybe it was 8 of the 16. So I think, yeah, it's great. And I think, every game is a challenge, which is so much fun. But it is a gauntlet. It's one that, on any given night you got to be ready to fight.
Yeah, definitely. So you're entering your second season here as the Notre Dame head coach. What a few things that you learned? Obviously, you've been head coach at Dartmouth and so on, been at Notre Dame before as a player. So what are a few things that you're kind of going in your second season that you kind of already learned after your first season of coaching?
Yeah. I think one of the things that, just learning kind of the rhythm of, the schedule is a little bit different here where there's a lot of Tuesday, Friday games. And so, adjusting training and kind of your periodization for that and just saying, making sure you're ready for those games and coming up with different ways to make sure the guys are focused and ready to compete at night after a day of classes, especially when you're playing home games. I think that's a challenge for us, but not one that's too big of a deal. And then I do think we've always played a hard schedule here, but I think, the program's at a place now where it approaches it the right way mentally, and the guys are able to understand that, because of playing those tough games, even though they are hard, there's no gimmies, it just helps you improve so much faster from the beginning of the year to the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely. It's always been a testament to Notre Dame programs, whether it's Notre Dame football having a hard schedule or since you guys have joined the ACC, for us for basketball, for soccer, just seems like tough schedule always prepares the guys for the postseason. Even might come at the risk of a few losses here and there or ties, whatever it may be, but definitely got them prepared for the postseason. You've been kind of touching on all the guys and scoring goals and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to kind of follow the basketball recruiting and the football recruiting. What's your kind of philosophy or what kind of regions what's your philosophy when it comes to recruiting for soccer?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the main things that we want are guys that are kind of team focused. And you suss that out a little bit through the recruiting process. We also look for guys whose best days are ahead of them, right? I think there's a lot of guys that are in good spots, as juniors in high school, maybe seniors, but which ones are going to continue to grow. And then the overall philosophy, the college soccer might be the most complicated landscape because you don't have to come to college. There's a lot of MLS teams that are signing their best youth players directly to homegrown contracts. There's another group of players who are signing directly in Europe. And so, overall the charge for our staff is to find the best players in the country who are good students that are going to come and play college soccer because you can't kind of have the total roster overhaul every offseason like some schools can at Notre Dame because our process through admissions just doesn't work that way. And to be honest with you, I don't want to coach a different team every year. I want to be a team that's kind of continually building, and we've got some great new guys, but we also, overall, kind of have 3 to 4 year players. I think, our hockey program is a good example, I think, of a team that has a similar setup to the way college soccer recruiting is, but the way they approach it, I think they do a great job. And so it is finding those guys that want a college degree, want a college experience, and also want to be the best players in the country. And those are the guys we want to bring to Notre Dame.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a challenge there because didn't really fully understand it like that. Says obviously football and basketball, you just see the best recruits you can get. When it comes to soccer, it sounds like some of those guys might be just going straight to the pros, and you're also looking for guys who are smart, have a lot of room to develop, could get the academics in Notre Dame. So it sounds like that's definitely a challenge, but obviously throughout the success of the last decade and several decades that you guys have been able to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's a challenge that in all honesty, I think it helps us build great teams, and it's one that we embrace and we believe in the university. And so, we really do want find those young men who really appreciate what Notre Dame can do for them, what Notre Dame is, and for the most part, we do a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, completely agree. Chad, I don't want to keep you too much longer. If you stay on the phone here, I'm going to kind of wrap up the show real quick. Appreciate you coming on.
Perfect.
That was head Notre Dame soccer coach Chad Riley. If you guys just joining us now, make sure to tune back in and go through that and listen to the whole season preview. Got a lot of cool bits from him on there. So thanks for watching, guys. Go Irish.